Hey guys, tonight we journey deep into the snowy wilderness, where towering shadows move slowly through the trees, steam rising from their nostrils like miniature chimneys. Your breath fogs as you take your first gasp of frigid air, sticky with the metallic scent of blood and birth. Around you, the world is cold, white, and endlessly hostile. Conifer branches sag under the weight of snow, and unseen eyes blink from the edge of the forest. You are a moose calf, and you've just been born into the world with the elegance of a collapsing puppet. Legs like stilts, vision foggy, head too heavy for your own neck. There is no warm den, no cozy nest. You are dropped like a sack of wet laundry onto a patch of semi-frozen earth, crusted with last night's snowfall, and soaked in your own afterbirth. A warm welcome, courtesy of nature. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your current location and time in the comments. I want to know where in the world you're tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your mother, bless her enormous heart, is already pacing. She's 6 feet tall at the shoulder and nearly weighs as much as a small car, but right now, she's not thinking about her size. She's listening. The forest is never truly silent, and predators know the calendar as well as any moose does. They wait for this season, this moment. The scent of birth travels fast on the wind, and wolves have a nose for vulnerability. You try to stand, that goes badly. Your knees buckle in opposite directions, and your hooves, soft and not quite hardened yet, slip on the frosty ground. You land in your own amniotic slop with a thud, so undignified it would be funny if it weren't also tragic. Your mother grunts softly and nudges you. Get up, there's no time to practice. In the background, a raven caws from a high branch. You don't know it yet, but it's not a random bird. It's watching you in hopes something nearby will kill you. Ravens often follow wolves during birthing season, because wherever wolves go, fresh moose meat isn't far behind. You finally get your legs under you, swaying like a drunk stilt walker in a snow globe. Everything about you is oversized and wrong. Your head is massive, your legs are too long, and your sense of balance is a bad joke. You look like a biology experiment that hasn't loaded properly, and yet, you have to move. Now, because somewhere in that thicket of pine, a grey shadow is sniffing. Wolves don't need to see you, they can smell you, and not just you, but the very specific hormonal cocktail of moose placenta, blood and fear. It's an appetizer menu printed in scent. You're a neon sign blinking free food, and you've got about 10 minutes to figure out how to walk. One fun little quirk of moose biology, you're precocial, which means nature expects you to be up and mobile almost immediately after birth. This isn't some kangaroo situation where you get to crawl into a pouch and chill for 6 months. No. You're expected to learn how to flee before you can even nurse properly. As you stagger to your feet, you realize your hooves are shaped like tiny canoes. That's great for snowshoeing and swamp walking later. But today, they're just awkward foot paddles that slide across the icy ground, while you try not to collapse like a lawn chair. And just as you get a few feet upright, there's a sound that freezes the sap in your bones. A howl, not close, but not far either. Your mother lifts her head sharply and wheels around. She stares into the trees, ears flicking. Then she does what moose mothers do when they decide they'd rather kill than run. She stands her ground. This is where it gets brutal. You see, moose are solitary creatures, but maternal moose. They're rage tanks. They don't do subtle. If a wolf gets too close, she will trample it into bone dust. There are documented cases of cow moose killing grizzlies by sheer force of hoof. That's good news for you, sure, but also terrifying, because if she goes down in the process, you're done. Scientists still debate whether moose rage is more about protecting calves, or simply a byproduct of their already short-tempered nature. Either way, you don't want to be on the business end of a moose mom's tantrum. She's ready to fight, but you still don't know how to run. The wolves creep closer. You can't see them yet, but your mother can. She's breathing hard. You wobble next to her, trying to make sense of your own knees. Somewhere between a stand and a collapse, you manage to stay up long enough to take a shaky step. It's like walking on stilts in rollerblades during an earthquake. Your mother bellows, a guttural throaty roar, and charges. No negotiation, no warnings, just full-blown moose apocalypse. She barrels into the snowbank where the first wolf had been creeping. There's a yelp, a crunch, and a lot of motion. You don't understand the details. You're still trying not to fall over, but one thing becomes clear. Your mom isn't bluffing. Wolves scatter. They're not built for direct combat with 1,200 pounds of unhinged fury. They'll try again later, of course, maybe tomorrow, or next week, when you're a bit more exhausted, a bit more alone. They have patience. You survive your first hour, a minor miracle, considering the odds. Biologists estimate that in regions with high predator density, up to 50% of moose calves don't survive their first month. And if you think that number's grim, remember, it doesn't even include drowning, starvation, or disease. That's just predators. You press your flank against your mother's belly, trembling. The snow is cold, but her warmth bleeds into you like a slow sun. You made it through birth. You stood. You moved. You dodged the first of many deaths. But the forest is still watching. The crows still wait. And your legs, still terrible. Your second day alive begins with a snowflake landing on your eyeball, which, for the record, is the size of a tennis ball and ridiculously sensitive. You blink like a cartoon character trying to focus, but the flake melts instantly and dribbles down your cheek in slow agony. That's the first of your problems. The second, you're still standing barely, but now you're expected to move. Your mother has decided it's time to walk, not far, just several kilometers, through snow, on legs that feel like 4 pool noodles taped to a log. You sway like a toddler at a wedding, trying to follow your mom's thunderous footsteps. She doesn't look back. Moose moms are caring, but they're not helicopter parents. If you fall behind, that's your problem. Predators don't wait for nap time. Your hooves sink into the snow. With each step, you're learning how depth, density, and gravity can betray you. Sometimes the snow holds your weight like a gentle pillow. Other times, it gives way without warning, and you plummet chest deep into powder, flailing like an idiot, until you can clamber back onto the surface. It's like walking through a field made entirely of marshmallow quicksand, and while you're learning this, something else is learning you. Wolves. They didn't give up after last night. They just regrouped. They're trotting parallel to your position now, keeping to the trees, hidden by brush. You don't see them, but your mother does. Her ears twitch. She stops often, nose to the wind, hooves half lifted in a tension so tight it hums through the air. If she could speak, she'd say, "Keep moving, don't cry, don't fall," but you do fall. You stumble on a tree root, your oversized head tipping forward, and your stick legs can't recover fast enough. You go down like a sack of wet cement, hooves flailing, body slamming into a drift. A few meters behind, in the woods, a pair of yellow eyes watches with interest. One theory suggests that predators actually prefer clumsy calves because their failure rate is lower. It's like ordering fast food instead of cooking, a quicker meal with less effort. But you're lucky. Again, your mother charges into view, bellows once, and stomps hard on the snowy patch where something had been creeping. She doesn't need to see the wolf, she just knows it's there. Wolves rarely hunt alone, but this one had gotten too curious. It won't make that mistake again. As the morning stretches on, you wobble forward, your breathing grows heavier, your heart races with every shadow, and then you hear it, buzzing, not from danger, from insects. Wait, what? That's right, even in the snow-covered forests of early spring, the insects are here, and they are very interested in you. See, your birth fluids and still damp fur have created a lovely cocktail of scents, and every fly within sniffing distance thinks you're the hottest restaurant opening this season. They land on your eyelids, nose, ears, lips. You try to shake them off, but you're too slow. Your mother starts swatting at her own side with her tail. She's had years to perfect this dance, but even she can't keep up with the swarm. The forest might be frozen, but mosquitoes, ticks, midges, they don't care. And now the real kicker. These aren't ordinary bugs. Some of them carry brainworm. Yes, you heard right. There is a parasite, Parala strongylus tenuis, that loves white-tailed deer, but accidentally infects moose through shared habitat. When it enters your system, it doesn't know how to behave. Instead of settling quietly in the tissue like it does with deer, it gets lost, wanders around, takes the scenic route. Eventually, it ends up in your brain, and that's when the problems start. Your legs might start trembling, you might walk in circles, you might forget where food is. Some moose have been found spinning for hours before collapsing in streams, drowning with confused eyes. Scientists are still debating whether climate change is increasing the prevalence of brainworm by pushing deer farther north, deeper into moose territory. What's not debated? It sucks hard. Right now though, the parasite hasn't entered you yet. You're still upright, still moving, still staring at your mother's massive rear end as she lumbers forward like an icebreaker ship through a frozen sea. She pauses often, lets you catch up, then moves again. You keep going, not because you're brave, because there is no choice. By mid-afternoon, the snow softens, your hooves start slipping on the wet crust. Beneath you, patches of brown appear, rotting leaves and dead pine needles, signs of spring, also signs of danger. Bears are waking up, grizzlies, black bears, hungry after months of fasting, smelling for blood. A newborn moose calf is a calorie jackpot, tender, uncoordinated, unarmed. Even a half-asleep bear can catch you. Your only hope again is Mom. She doesn't like to run, but she will charge anything if you squeal loud enough. But here's a twist. Not all predators are four-legged. From above, a golden eagle circles. Yes, eagle. It sounds absurd, but there are verified cases of golden eagles taking down moose calves. They dive at impossible speeds, talons stretched, aiming for your spine or neck. If they can puncture your flesh, you'll bleed fast. If they knock you down, they might get enough time to finish the job. You hug the trees, you stay close to Mom, and eventually, somehow, you survive your second day. By evening, the world quiets. You collapse into the soft earth, curling your awkward limbs under your body like broken twigs. Your muscles twitch from exhaustion, your ears still flick from phantom bugs, but for a few minutes, the world slows down. You're still here, barely, and that counts. You wake up to your mother snorting into your ear. It's not a loving gesture, it's more of a get up before you get eaten kind of encouragement. Morning comes early in Moose World, and the forest doesn't care that you were up all night dreaming about drowning in snowdrifts and being chased by carnivores with wings. Your joints are stiff, your back aches. You are 2 days old, and you feel 80. But there's no time for pity. You push yourself upright with a graceless shove, staggering forward like a drunk pirate wearing invisible stilts. Your mother is already walking. She expects you to follow. That's your job now. As the sun warms the canopy, the snow begins to melt into a slick, icy soup. You quickly learn that moose hooves don't grip mud very well. Every step is a physics experiment gone wrong. You slip sideways, legs splaying, then scramble to recover like a toddler learning to ice skate while wearing clown shoes. It would be funny if it wasn't about to get worse. Because, dear listener, today is the day you meet the real enemy. Biting flies, black flies, deer flies, horse flies, mosquitoes the size of your eyeball. Clouds of them descend from the treetops like demonic confetti. You think yesterday was itchy. Oh no, that was the preview. Today is the director's cut with bonus scenes. Your ears twitch non-stop. Your tail, what little there is of it, flicks in frantic rhythm. You try to outrun them, but they follow. They land on your eyelids, your nostrils, your lips. Some crawl into your ears and buzz inside your skull. You shake, twitch, stomp, roll, and nothing helps. Here's the kicker. Your blood is a luxury product. It's warm, fresh, full of nutrients and delivered through skin that is laughably thin in some places. The flies treat you like a mobile food truck, and they bring friends. One quirky fact. Some of these bugs are so persistent that moose have been observed standing in lakes for hours with just their nostrils poking out, like massive miserable submarines. Anything to get a moment's peace. But you're not near a lake yet. So instead, you just suffer. And it gets under your skin, literally, not just metaphorically. Because those ticks you picked up on day one, they're now feeding, expanding, multiplying. A single moose can carry over 70,000 ticks in a bad season. Yes, 70,000. Imagine that number. Now imagine trying to walk, think, or eat while every square inch of your skin is crawling. One theory suggests that moose calves in warmer climates are dying more often due to tick infestations, as climate change increases both the duration and severity of tick seasons. Some calves lose so much blood from tick feeding that they become anemic and die standing up. You don't know that yet. You just know it hurts, and itches, and never stops. By noon, you've discovered a secret moose technique: tree rubbing. Find a pine or a rough-barked aspen and throw your entire itchy body against it. Scrape like a bear, twist like a dancer. Grind every inch of hide against the bark until the itch gives up or your skin starts peeling, whichever comes first. It feels amazing. Until the bark catches your ear and rips a tiny flap. You bleat in pain. Your mother flicks her ear, annoyed. She has her own problems. Bugs have swarmed her udders, which is ruining your next meal. You see, nursing isn't easy either. You're tall, but not tall enough. Reaching up to feed means stretching your neck at a weird angle while dodging her swatting tail. Meanwhile, biting flies try to land on your eyeballs. It's like trying to drink a smoothie while someone tases your eyelid. And even when you do latch on, the milk tastes strange, because mom's been eating aquatic plants lately. And those, they come with a twist. Ever heard of equestum? It's a plant moose love to eat, but it can cause thiamine deficiency if eaten too often. That leads to neurological issues, staggering, head tilting, seizures. But hey, it's either that or starve. You get what she eats. End of story. Scientists are still debating whether nutritional imbalances in moose are a seasonal problem or a long-term consequence of changing habitats. Either way, you're the one with milk that tastes like pondweed and regret. The rest of the afternoon passes in a blur of walking, scratching, nursing, swatting, and collapsing. Every noise is suspect. Every shadow could mean death. At one point you spot a rustle in the bushes. Your knees lock. You freeze, thinking it's a bear. It's a squirrel. You nearly faint anyway. This is your life now. 2.5 days old and already carrying the trauma of 1,000 near-death experiences. As the sun begins to set, you find a mossy patch beneath a spruce and collapse. Your belly is bloated with milk, your legs twitch involuntarily, and the bugs, still here, still chewing. You dream of things you've never seen. Deep water, silent lakes, cool mud, salt licks, a place without flies. But when you wake up, it's still the forest. Still you. Still moose. Still terrible. You're 3 days old, and already your sense of hope has been whittled down to a single thought. Please, let today not be worse than yesterday. Spoiler, it will be. The morning fog clings low to the forest floor like a blanket made of old soup. Every breath you take tastes like moss and rot. Your nose twitches constantly. It's not just to sniff danger, you're trying to figure out what isn't trying to kill you. Your mother is pacing again. That means it's time to move. You grunt softly, protesting, but she doesn't care. The sun is rising, and she wants distance between you and yesterday's wolf trail. Moose live in constant motion, not because they love cardio, but because staying still gets you eaten. So you follow. Again. This time, she leads you to something new, a stream. It's cold, it's rushing, and your brain says, nope, but mom doesn't stop. She steps into the water like it's nothing, hooves sinking slightly into the rocky bottom. Then she looks back at you like, what's the holdup? You hesitate at the edge. The current is fast, louder than you expected. The water is dark and filled with swirling foam. You don't know how deep it is, or what might be hiding beneath. There are whispers in your instincts, ancestral echoes reminding you that rivers mean drowning, snapping turtle bites, and soggy humiliation. And yet, you step forward. Your front hooves touch the water. It's icy enough to steal your breath. You lift a leg, try to balance, and immediately slip. You fall face first into the shallows, half submerged, legs kicking wildly as panic sets in. For a second, the water seems like it wants to take you. It sucks at your belly, drags you downstream a few feet, and spins you like a leaf. Your mother bellows sharply from the other side. You try again, this time, slower, legs wide, neck low. You walk like a drunk spider with arthritis, but somehow, you make it across, wet, cold, humiliated, but alive. And just in time too, because right behind you, padding down the opposite bank, comes a shadow. A bear, not a cartoon bear, not a slow, curious, honey-sniffing goofball. This is a grizzly, shoulders rolling like loaded springs, nose twitching with hunger. He smells you. He sees your struggle, but he's not stupid. He watches from the trees as you disappear into the brush, dripping and shivering. Your mother pauses to stare back, then she leads you away. Again, one fringe fact: moose are excellent swimmers. They can dive nearly 20 feet deep, hold their breath for almost a minute, and swim for miles, sometimes up to 10 miles without stopping. They've even been spotted crossing lakes and bays like aquatic freight trains. But you are not excellent at anything yet, especially not swimming. So the next time you hear water, you panic. But water is a constant in moose life. Streams, ponds, lakes, bogs, they're all part of the daily commute. Not just for hydration, but for food. Aquatic vegetation is your mother's favorite buffet. And as she wades belly deep into a lily-choked pond to snack on pondweed and duck potato, you're left on shore, trying to swat a mosquito with your face. Your mother sinks her head beneath the surface, and comes up with a mouthful of roots. You take a cautious step into the shallows, and instantly your hooves disappear into muck. Suction grips your legs like a greedy swamp monster. You struggle, sink deeper, then finally flop backward in a soggy mess, covered in pond scum, furious, humiliated. Again, nearby, a heron watches silently, as if judging your entire existence. You'd throw a rock at it if you had fingers. Eventually your mother returns, dripping water from her ears. She shakes herself like a dog, soaking you even more, and gives you a look that says, "Keep up or don't." You keep up. Because what choice do you have? Scientists still debate whether moose calves experience complex social bonding or merely follow their mothers out of instinct. But in your case, the bond feels real. She protects you, feeds you, leads you, and you, well, you trip over your own legs and cry a lot. As the sun dips low, you both find a clearing to rest, but even resting comes with hazards. The bugs are back. This time, you don't even flinch. You've given up fighting. They crawl into your ears. You let them. You're too tired to care. And then, a sound. Not a growl. Not a howl. A whine. You lift your head. A coyote pup? No. It's a human machine. Something far worse. A drone. You can't comprehend it, but the buzzing overhead isn't a fly. It's a flying metal creature, with blinking lights and spinning wings. It sips low through the trees, chasing a path towards something it's tracking. You bolt instinctively. Your mother bolts too. The drone follows. It's part of a wildlife study. Some researchers are tracking moose movements using thermal cameras, completely harmless, for the data team. But to you, it's a flying demon, with a whirring voice and no eyes. You run until your lungs ache. Your hooves pound through the underbrush. Branches whip your sides. A twig jabs your eye. You don't care. You run. Eventually it stops. The drone turns, zips back toward its van. You collapse in a fern patch, chest heaving, covered in sweat and leaf litter. You don't know what that was, but you're pretty sure it will come back. Today starts with silence. Not peace, just a lull. The kind of stillness that makes birds stop singing, and squirrels pause mid-climb. Your ears twitch, catching only the subtle rustle of wind moving through pine needles. the distant creak of tree trunks adjusting their old wooden bones. Your breath fogs in the morning air. You exhale slowly, and then you realize your mother is gone. Not far. You can still smell her, faintly, but she's not in sight. Cue panic. You whimper, staggering up to your hooves, heart jackhammering. You swing your head from side to side like a lost toddler in a supermarket, suddenly aware of how alone you are. And alone in moose language usually means dead. You trot, then stumble, then run, your giant legs flailing through branches, hooves catching roots and snow mounds alike. You're crashing through the forest like a clumsy avalanche, calling out with soft bleats that feel far too pathetic for something your size. Finally, you spot her, massive, calm, chewing on a sapling like it's a celery stick. She glances at you, unimpressed. You collapse beside her, gasping. You're not sure if she left on purpose. Some biologists suggest that moose mothers will occasionally wander just out of reach to encourage independence in their calves. Others argue she might have just been annoyed with your constant whimpering. Scientists still debate whether moose maternal behavior is more instinct or strategy, but you've made one thing clear: you are not emotionally ready for this level of abandonment. Still, you're learning. You're beginning to understand how to move through this place. Not gracefully, but functionally. And that's good, because you're about to hit your next major milestone: teething. Yes, moose calves teether. Your jaw starts to ache. You gnaw on anything. Sticks, roots, low-hanging branches, even your own leg at one point, until you realize that's not food. Your baby teeth begin to push through, stabbing your gums from the inside like tiny bone daggers. It's as enjoyable as it sounds. Meanwhile, your stomach starts rebelling. You've been relying solely on milk, but now your body demands fiber, something to gnaw, chew, digest. So you taste things. Most are bad, some are lethal. One such thing is red maple, beautiful tree, stunning leaves. But some parts can be toxic, especially in large doses. You chew on one, and your tongue immediately regrets it. Bitter, tangy, regret-flavored. You spit it out, then try it again, because learning is hard. The forest is full of invisible rules. Some plants nourish, some poison, some are fine one season, and deadly the next. You have no handbook, no teacher, just instinct, and your mother's vague body language. And she doesn't explain things. She just moves, and eats, and sometimes kicks the air like she's possessed. Usually when a fly lands on her udder, you try to mimic her movements. When she chews bark, you chew bark. When she rubs against a tree, you rub against a tree. You even try to copy her peeing technique, which goes badly, but copying helps. Because being a moose isn't about inventing, it's about surviving. At one point, while attempting to nibble a particularly thorny bush, you hear a snort. Not hers. Something bigger. You freeze. There, emerging from the brush, is another moose. A bull. Not your dad. Moose fathers don't do parenting. In fact, they'll sometimes chase or even trample calves if they're feeling territorial. This one is huge, antlerless for now, but with a massive head and steam rising from his nostrils. Your mother immediately places herself between you and him. The standoff is silent, heavy, full of tension that ripples through the air like invisible static. You crouch low, heart in your throat. Eventually the bull turns and walks away. Just like that. No drama. Just a reminder. The forest belongs to no one, not even your mother. It is shared but not equally. And at the bottom of that hierarchy, you. Later, as the sun warms your back and you awkwardly lie on your side, trying to nap, a mosquito lands on your eyelid. You let it. What's the point? Then a second one, then a third. Your eye swells slightly. You blink slowly, defeated. A chickadee lands on a branch above and sings a sweet song. You hate it. Night falls again. The forest groans with insect buzz and creaking wood. You curl close to your mother, who is chewing slowly, rhythmically, like she's counting down the seconds until sleep. Your belly aches. Your legs twitch. A tick has embedded itself in your ear canal. and you're pretty sure you're going to scream. Instead you breathe, long and slow. One more day survived, barely. It's midday, and the sun is hot. Too hot, which is insane, because this is supposed to be the North Woods. Snow country, ice and silence. But today, the sun is roasting the ground like it's been rented out by a barbecue competition. The breeze has stopped, the bugs have multiplied, and you, dear moose calf, are cooking in your own fur coat. Here's a biological insult. Moose don't do well in heat. Despite being born in the cold, despite thriving in winter and handling -40 with casual indifference, the moment the temperature tips above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 degrees Celsius, you start to overheat like a faulty laptop. Your heart rate increases, your breathing changes, you feel sluggish, dizzy, like you've been wrapped in a wool blanket and thrown into a sauna, but there's no relief. No AC, no fan, no pool, just trees, and trees don't care. You try to find shade, under a spruce. Too many bugs, near the river, mosquito city, open clearing, sun-baked death trap. Your options are bad, worse, and already tried that. So you pant, literally, like a dog. Moose pant when they overheat, and that means your massive mucus-coated nostrils are now flaring with every wheezing breath. You drool, you sweat, you wish for death, or at least a cold patch of mud. Eventually, your mother does the smart thing. She leads you into the water, not to drink, to stand. That's right. Today you're going full amphibious. She finds a marshy pond, marches straight in, and plops herself halfway down like she's melting into the earth. You follow, too exhausted to question it, and it feels glorious. Cool water up to your belly. Bugs mostly leave you alone. Your legs float just enough to take the weight off your joints. You stand like this for hours. Half moose, half swamp sculpture. This is how moose survive summer. One quirky fact: moose can close their nostrils underwater. They do it when they dive for plants. You try it. You fail. You accidentally inhale a beetle. Welcome to the learning curve. While standing there, you notice something moving in the water. Small, quick flashes. Not fish. Not frogs. Leeches. Dozens of them. And they love warm-blooded mammals who stand still too long. You start kicking, spinning, flailing your legs like an interpretive dance choreographed by panic. Your mother watches, mildly amused. Leeches don't bother her. She's built up a tolerance. You, however, are having a full existential meltdown over a half-inch squirming noodle that's just latched onto your thigh. Eventually, you escape the water, panting and dripping and itchy and furious. Now you're hot and slimy. Congratulations. You wander toward a grove, hoping for shade, and collapse next to a stump. The stump, as it turns out, is also home to a family of red ants. They don't appreciate your company. You're bitten 12 times before you even realize what's happening. You leap up and take off at full gallop, yelping like a lost goat, shaking ants off your belly, biting at your own fur, and crashing through underbrush. Your mother doesn't follow. She's still in the pond. You circle back to her, embarrassed. She doesn't look up. This is your life now. 1,000 daily humiliations, each one more ridiculous than the last. And here's the deeper reality. Your body is changing, fast. Your legs are thickening, your strides improving. You're starting to look less like a walking bean sprout, and more like a junior moose. Which sounds cool, except now you're hungrier. All the time. But finding food, still awful. You try to eat ferns too bitter, birch bark too dry. You chew on a twig, gag, then chew it again just to be sure. Every meal is a gamble between maybe this keeps me alive, and maybe this turns my kidneys into pudding. And don't forget, you're still nursing. But that supply is running out. Your mother's milk production slows once she senses you're old enough to forage. This is not up for negotiation. She starts walking farther and faster between feeding stops. Your desperate attempts to nurse are met with swats from her back legs. Gentle swats, but also a clear message. Grow up. You don't want to. But your stomach doesn't care. One theory suggests that calves who transition to solid food too slowly risk stunting their own growth. But going too fast brings its own problems. indigestion, diarrhea, or worse. You choose the middle path, eat bark, then cry about it later. As evening falls, you're standing in a clearing, face covered in leaf fragments and bug bites, ears twitching from a horsefly that just won't quit. You glance at your mother, who's ignoring you. Again, chewing on something you can't identify. You sigh, because you know what's coming next. More walking, more bugs, more falling, and no one has scratched your ear in 2 days. You are officially awkward now. Not just physically, you've always been physically awkward, but now you're socially awkward too, because you're at that age where you're not really a baby, not yet a teenager, and definitely not an adult moose. You're just gangly, all legs, all ears, still drooling, but now drooling with attitude. Your limbs are longer than they should be. Your hooves clack weirdly on rocks. You're starting to grow a little fuzzy beard under your chin. A doe lap, if you want to be fancy, but don't get excited. It's not majestic. It's patchy, uneven. It looks like a failed attempt at teenage facial hair. And worst of all, you still have no antlers, which wouldn't matter if you were a female calf. But you're male, which means you've got big expectations resting on that oversized forehead of yours. Moose antlers are serious business. They're not just accessories. They're social weapons, mating signals, and walking billboards of dominance. But right now, you look like a question mark with anxiety. And the forest knows it. Today, you spot your first other calf, a female, about your age. She emerges from a thicket, with her mother, eyes bright, movements graceful. She walks like she owns her hooves. You watch in awe. She glances at you, then looks away like you don't exist. You try to walk coolly. You trip on a log. She disappears into the woods. Later, you catch your reflection in a still puddle, and what you see is deeply unflattering. A too long neck, knobby knees, and eyes that still carry the haunted look of someone who recently fell into a nest of biting ants. Welcome to your antlerless awkward phase. Moose calves spend months in this liminal space, neither strong nor safe, too big to hide, too weak to fight. You are now a visible target, no longer a fragile newborn, but not yet equipped with defenses. Predators like wolves and bears know this. They've seen your kind before. One fringe theory among researchers: predators have developmental windows, time periods when they know calves are most vulnerable, due to growth spurts and energy imbalances. During these windows, attacks increase, and you're currently in the middle of one. You feel it. You walk through the forest with a new awareness, one that buzzes in your spine. Every branch snap makes you flinch. Every crow call sounds like a warning. You've learned to spot tracks in the mud, long clawed prints that don't belong to deer. You can smell the difference between your own kind and others. You've seen what happens to the slow ones. Remember that other calf you saw earlier, the graceful one. You smell her mother's blood before you see it. A wide smear through the brush, tufts of fur, a trail of drag marks, flies already swarming. Her calf is gone, maybe still alive, maybe not. Either way, you won't be seeing her again. Your mother moves faster that evening. She stays alert. She doesn't let you wander more than a few paces. She pushes you when you hesitate. She doesn't explain why, but you know. You walk in silence, every step an act of survival. At one point, you hear something large crashing through the brush beside you. You spin, heart hammering. A black bear, not close, but close enough. You freeze. Your mother snorts, a sharp, guttural sound, and then charges. This is not a bluff. This is a suicide mission, with hooves. The bear wasn't even trying to attack, maybe just passing through, but now it has a moose mother screaming toward it at 30 miles per hour. It turns tail, vanishes into the trees, probably rethinking its life choices. Your legs shake. You pee a little. You don't talk about it. Later, as you rest, you think about what's coming. You've heard stories in the gruntings of older bulls, how antlers come in like fire, how velvet itches, until you rub it raw, how fights end in cracked ribs and lost eyes. You're not there yet, but you know it's coming, and you're not ready, because right now, you can't even walk through a bush without getting stuck. There's a shift in the air. It's not a smell exactly. Though moose are connoisseurs of scent, it's more like pressure. Tension in the soil. Some invisible signal passed through hooves and fur and instinct. You've grown. Not much, but enough to feel it. Your legs carry you with less flailing. Your eyes scan the tree line with something resembling confidence. You've started to understand the rhythm of the forest, the times when it's safe to graze, the hours when shadows get too quiet. You're not wise yet, but you're no longer clueless. And just in time, because the forest is about to host its annual chaos parade, the rut mating season. For adult bulls, it's a 3-week testosterone-fueled drama with more yelling than a reality TV reunion episode. And while you're not a participant yet, you're front row in the splash zone. You hear the first challenge call at dawn. It echoes through the trees like a low, bone-rattling groan, equal parts threat and love song. Somewhere out there, a bull is announcing his presence. His antlers have grown thick and heavy, his neck is swollen, and he is officially in the mood to throw down. More calls answer. You freeze mid-bite. Even your mother pauses, ears tilted toward the sound. She's nervous now. During rut, bulls aren't just aggressive with each other. They'll harass cows relentlessly, chase them for miles, and fight off any calf that gets in the way. That means you crouch low, trying to shrink your ridiculous giraffe legs under your body. A few hours later, the first combatants arrive. 2 bulls, one massive, with a rack so wide it could shade a canoe. The other younger, but still lethal. They approach with slow, stiff-legged walks. There's no surprise ambush. Moose fights are dramatic, public, almost ceremonial. They sniff, snort, circle, then crash. Antlers meet with a sound like splintering wood and denting steel. You feel it in your chest. The forest shakes. Birds scatter. They shove, twist, slam. Antlers lock and creak under pressure. One bull bellows. The other grunts through clenched teeth. Their necks swell like fire hoses. Blood drips from a shallow forehead wound. Bark flies as they stagger into a tree. You and your mother keep your distance, but not far enough. Suddenly, one of them charges toward your direction. Accidentally, maybe, but in his frenzy, he doesn't care who or what is in the way. Your mother shoves you aside just in time. The bull crashes through, missing you by inches, hooves churning the soil. A spray of dirt coats your flank. You're shaking again, mouth dry, legs twitching. The victor bellows and prances in uneven circles. The loser limps away, dignity, and a small patch of antler left behind. Fun fact, moose antlers are not just for show. They act like giant satellite dishes, helping funnel sound into their ears. Researchers once suggested that bulls with larger racks might hear better during rut. Others argue that it's simply intimidation. Either way, these fights are loud and brutal, and this won't be the last one. For the next several weeks, your world is punctuated by groans, bellows, antler clashes, and the occasional aggressive chase. Your mother grows twitchy. She changes paths often, avoids clearings, and walks at weird hours. She's not trying to confuse you. She's trying to avoid attention, because attention gets you harassed. She's not in estrus yet, but when she is, bulls will track her by scent. They'll follow for days, stand guard, challenge each other, and when the time comes, there's only one winner. You hate all of it. The noise, the unpredictability, the way your mother starts treating you like an annoying roommate. She swats you more now, grunts at you when you get too close. Sometimes she ignores your cries completely, because soon, she won't need you anymore. Soon, her attention will shift to the next calf, and you'll be on your own. You spend one morning alone, wandering through ferns, testing out mock charges at saplings. You lower your head, pretend you have antlers, and charge a mossy log. You miss, fall, roll sideways, stand back up like nothing happened. A chipmunk saw the whole thing. You hate that chipmunk. Later that night, as the full moon lights up the branches, you lie beside your mother one more time. She's already drifting off. You curl up beside her massive flank, heartbeat slowing to match hers. The fights rage on in the distance, and in your bones you feel it. One day, that will be you. Not yet, but someday. Your first set of antlers doesn't arrive with fireworks. They arrive like a bad haircut, slowly, unevenly, and barely noticeable at first. It starts with a tingle in your scalp. Not painful, exactly, but annoying. You scratch your head against tree trunks more than usual. A small bump rises from your forehead. Then another, tiny nubs, covered in soft fuzz. This is velvet, and it itches like crazy. Congratulations, you're now the proud owner of 2 awkward bone stubs. You look like a walking coat rack that someone gave up on halfway through assembly. And the worst part, they grow fast. One quirky fact: moose antlers are among the fastest growing tissues in the animal kingdom. During peak season, they can grow up to an inch a day. That's insane. Imagine growing a bicycle out of your skull in 2 months, with nerves, and blood vessels, and constant pressure. That's your life now. You start rubbing them on anything with texture. Tree bark, bushes, even rocks. Not for decoration, for relief. The velvet itches as it stretches, and the blood flow makes you dizzy. Some mornings you wake up to dried blood on your face. Not because you fought, but because the velvet cracked overnight. Velvet is soft until it dies. Then it peels, and you're the one who has to scrape it off. It happens gradually. A snag here, a tear there. You dig into bark like a creature possessed, leaving behind strips of velvet like forgotten party streamers. Eventually, the entire fuzzy covering is gone, and what's left is bone. Smooth, cold, and heavy. You feel different. Heavier in the head, wider in the shoulders, more irritable. Your reflection in the water looks almost adult now. But here's the terrible twist. Your new antlers. They make you a target. Other young bulls see them and immediately size you up. You're not impressive enough to scare them, but just developed enough to challenge. You're now officially in the moose equivalent of middle school hallway fights, random, unnecessary, and almost always embarrassing. One morning, a slightly older bull stares at you from across a clearing. He doesn't grunt, he doesn't move, he just lowers his head and charges. It's not a full-speed adult bull rush, more like a testing nudge. Still, it hurts. Your antlers lock, your knees buckle, you push back, but he's stronger. You're shoved into a shrub, tripped by a root, and fall in a heap of hooves and shame. He snorts once and walks off. You stay down a minute longer than necessary, pretending you're just resting. Scientists believe these mock battles are essential to developing the skills bulls need later during the rut. But nobody mentions the psychological trauma, or the fact that every female in the vicinity just watched you get face-planted into a fern. You limp away. Later, your mother doesn't even ask what happened. She's done intervening. You're old enough to be bruised, old enough to be ignored. That's how moose parenting works. Protection has an expiration date. You spend the next few days walking like someone just hit you with a tree branch, which technically happened, but it's not all bad. You're stronger now. Your legs move with purpose. Your ears twitch before sounds even register. You've learned to sniff danger long before it arrives. And the antlers, they grow on you. Literally and metaphorically, there's something majestic about them. Even at this awkward stage, they change your silhouette. They announce your presence. They make you seen in the way you weren't before. One theory among researchers is that antlers don't just help bulls win mates, they help them avoid fights. A large rack can be enough of a visual deterrent to prevent an altercation altogether. You're not there yet. But someday those tangled twigs on your forehead will become a crown, and for now, you'll just keep banging your head on trees until they stop itching. You wake up sweating. Yes, sweating. You, the frosty forest king in training, are now sweating through your fur like a draft horse, pulling a wedding carriage through a desert, because winter is supposed to be your season. But this isn't winter. It's false winter. The trees are bare, the sun is low, and frost rims the edges of the stream. But the snow hasn't come yet, not fully, and instead of crisp air and frozen ground, you're dealing with a weird, humid warmth that doesn't belong. You overheat easily, especially with that new rack growing from your forehead. Every step feels like you're dragging a radiator on your skull. Fun fact, moose can't pant like dogs or sweat like humans efficiently. Their massive bodies are optimized for cold, which means they trap heat a little too well. That's perfect when it's -20. But when it's 45 degrees and humid, you're one long walk away from passing out next to a pine cone. Your solution? You stand. That's it. You just stand in the shade like a statue for hours, conserving energy, blinking slowly, like someone reconsidering all their life choices. Even blinking feels hot. You lower your head just enough to keep blood from pooling behind your eyeballs. And then, as if summoned by your suffering, the bugs return. In November, you thought the flies were gone. You believed the frost had killed them. But no, a freak warm front brought them back for one final encore. A buzzing, biting, eye-crawling grand finale. Oh! They land on your nostrils, your lips, the tips of your ears where the blood still flows closest to the skin. You stomp and twitch and walk in circles. You shake your head so hard your vision blurs. You consider throwing yourself into the nearest lake, but it's not frozen or deep enough. Oh! Your mother seems unaffected. She's too busy digging through rotting leaves to get at mossy snacks. She no longer pays attention to your tantrums. You're grown now. Remember, if a mosquito bites your eyelid, that's your problem. You scratch your antlers against a log. It helps briefly. Then you get stuck. Yes, stuck. Your growing rack has officially become a liability. You lowered your head a little too far between two birch trees, trying to nibble at the bark, and now you can't back out. One tine has hooked behind the trunk. You twist, wiggle, panic, nothing. Your breathing quickens. You tug. Something creaks. Then, snap. You fall backward, free, but at a cost. One of your antlers has cracked near the base. Not enough to fall off, but enough to hurt. It throbs, every pulse like a drumbeat in your skull. You limp away, ashamed. In the distance a raven caws, probably laughing. Here's a miserable little detail. Antler injuries can lead to infections, open wounds, exposed nerves, slow healing in cold, damp conditions. You've just joined the elite club of moose with forehead problems, and there's no medicine, just time and moss. Later that night, snow finally falls, gently at first, fluffy flakes floating down like soft regrets, then thicker, faster. Soon the world is coated in white silence, muffling your footsteps, softening your misery. You should feel better. This is your biome, your home turf. But you don't, because even though you were built for winter, it's not the gentle blanket you imagined. It's heavy, it clings to your legs, it cakes under your belly, and worst of all, it hides your food. The grasses, buried, the shrubs, encased, the aquatic plants, frozen under inches of ice, which means if you want to eat, you have to dig with your face. So you do, you nuzzle the snow, push through it like a frustrated vacuum cleaner, uncovering frozen stems and dead leaves. You chew them anyway. The taste, somewhere between cardboard and sadness. Scientists refer to this behavior as cratering. When moose dig through snow for hidden forage, it's effective until the snow gets too deep, and that's coming soon. You already feel it. The deeper snow makes walking exhausting. Your legs sink, your hooves punch through the crust, then get caught underneath. Every step becomes a gamble between movement and collapse, and when you do collapse, you lie there, staring up at the sky, wondering why the universe made you 8 feet tall and covered in fur, only to abandon you in a forest buffet that gets locked away 6 months of the year. Eventually, you get up, because that's what moose do. No complaints, just more walking, more scratching, more cold. Snow too deep? Well, that's a polite way of saying, you're about to starve slowly. It starts with a deceptively beautiful morning. The forest is silent. Powder clings to every branch. You step out and sink. Immediately, your legs punch through the surface crust, and suddenly you're up to your chest in white. It's not a quick fall, it's more like a plunge, a slow, humiliating descent into the frozen void. You try to lift your front legs. Fail. You shift backward. Also fail. You wiggle, flounder, and flail until you look like an inflatable moose at a car dealership having a panic attack. This is post-holing, and you're now doing it with every step. Every single step. The snow is just deep enough to support smaller creatures, foxes, rabbits, lynx, but you're too heavy. Your weight breaks the crust, sending your legs deep into the fluffy nightmare below. You try stepping carefully, but that just means you sink slower, and you're not just walking for fun. You need food. Here's the real cruelty. The plants are still there. The willow stems, the aspen twigs, the aquatic weeds beneath frozen ponds. They haven't vanished, but they're now sealed beneath feet of snow and ice. You can smell them. You can't reach them. You dig. With your hooves, your mouth, your face. You crater through the snow, uncovering dead twigs that taste like splinters and regret. You chew them anyway. Not because they're delicious, but because the alternative is dying in slow motion. Moose have 4-chambered stomachs, just like cows. They're designed to digest cellulose-rich plants. But when winter deepens and forage becomes scarce, even their super stomachs can't keep up. Your energy use exceeds your intake, which means your body has to make a choice. So it starts eating itself. Fat reserves first, then muscle, slowly, quietly. You don't even notice at first. You just feel tired. A little slower each day, a little colder. Your ribs become more defined. Your shoulders ache. Your neck stiffens. It's not dramatic, just a creeping, unrelenting fade. One study in the boreal forests of North America tracked young moose calves and found that winter mortality could reach over 30% in years of heavy snowfall, and those that do survive often emerge looking like ghosts of their former selves. You become one of them. Even your antlers feel heavier. Once symbols of power and pride, now they drag your head downward. You lower your crown to the snow, as if trying to bury your own thoughts, and beneath it all, you keep chewing. Some days you don't bother moving, just stand still in a drift, conserving energy. Let the snow accumulate on your back. Let your breath slow. You blink, and exist, until your mother leaves. Yes, one day without warning, she walks away. No goodbye, no final nudge, no touching foreheads in a poetic wildlife farewell. She just goes. Moose mothers typically abandon their calves in late winter or early spring, just before giving birth to the next one. It's not cruel, it's necessary. She needs to focus on the new calf's survival. You're now expected to fend for yourself. You watch her disappear into the trees, and for the first time in your life, you are alone, completely, and everything becomes harder. The digging, the walking, the listening. Now you do it without backup, without a giant horned wrecking ball to charge wolves on your behalf. If something hunts you now, you have to run, or fight, or die. You sleep lighter, eat less, scan more. Even when you doze, your ears twitch with every pine cone that falls. You wake to the sound of snow shifting. Every creak feels like an avalanche. You are officially in the gauntlet. This is the part they don't show in nature documentaries. The long, slow march through cold and hunger. The way your body trims its own fire to keep going. The way your thoughts dull. The way time blurs into an endless grey fog of white. You're not injured. You're not sick. You're just weak. And winter hasn't even peaked yet. You don't remember the last time you felt full. Your stomach now operates in 2 modes. Empty and slightly less empty. The days blur together in shades of white and grey. Your coat, once rich and shaggy, is patchy in spots where ticks have feasted, and where you've rubbed yourself raw trying to scratch what you can't reach. And yet, somehow, you're still here. But just when you think things can't get worse, humans arrive, not as a whisper, not from a distance. They come with roads, with salt, with noise. You first smell them in the early hours, when the air still carries the sting of overnight frost. Strange chemicals, burnt rubber, warm metal. Your nostrils twitch at the unfamiliar scent trail. You follow it instinctively. Why? Because it smells good. Salt. You don't know the science, but your body does. Salt is rare in the wild, and when the plows come through and drop it by the ton, it seeps into the road's edges and clings to frozen soil. It mixes with sand and slush, and becomes a trail of dirty flavor you can't resist. You step toward the road. The air changes. It's louder here, buzzing, humming, vibrating beneath your hooves like a sleeping giant. You stand at the tree line, unsure. Your legs twitch. You sniff again, and then you step onto asphalt for the first time. It's hard, unnatural. The surface feels wrong. No give, no crunch, just black glass under your hooves. You follow the salty patches. Your tongue drags along the roadside snow, tasting minerals your body craves. And then you hear it. A roar. Too late. The truck barrels down the road at 70 miles per hour. Headlights blind you. Horn blasts. Tires scream. You try to move. You don't move fast enough. At the last second, the driver swerves. The vehicle misses you by inches. A gust of air slams your chest. The noise deafens you. Your heart feels like it's been kicked. You bolt into the trees, crashing through underbrush, trembling so hard your legs barely carry you. And that was a near miss. Here's the brutal truth. Moose vehicle collisions are often fatal for both the moose and the driver. Because of your height, cars hit your legs and flip your entire body onto the windshield. The impact is catastrophic. Highways in moose territory post warning signs. But accidents still happen every year, hundreds of them. You lie hidden for an hour, waiting for your heartbeat to settle. You breathe, slowly. But you've learned something important. Salt comes with danger, and that's not the only danger humans bring. The next day you hear shots in the distance. Sharp cracks that echo through the trees like a bone snapping in the sky. Hunting season. You're technically not legal game yet. You're too young, too small. But mistakes happen. Poaching happens. Some people shoot before checking. Some just don't care. You start moving at night more often. You avoid open spaces, stick to dense thickets, follow old deer trails under low branches. You walk silently now, one hoof step at a time, even though your stomach screams for food. One morning, you pass another young moose lying in the snow. He doesn't move. His eyes are open. You don't stop. This is the quiet horror of winter. Death with no announcement. No drama. Just stillness. One day they're walking beside you. The next they're frozen to the ground with a halo of disturbed snow and a trail of coyote prints circling them. But for you, somehow, the days keep passing. You learn to break ice at the stream's edge for a drink. You learn which bark tastes less awful. You learn to ignore the constant ache in your legs, the slow pulsing throb in your cracked antler, the crust of blood still clinging to your ear from that last tick bite. Because the worst part of moose survival isn't the hunger, it's the waiting. You're waiting for spring, and spring always feels just 1 week too far away. You're still here. And that somehow is the miracle. Your ribs are sharp. Your legs tremble more than they should, but your eyes are alert now, sharpened not by confidence, but by sheer necessity. You've outlasted the worst of winter, the wolves, the starvation, and the metal death machines on highways. But survival is a temporary lease in Moose World. Today, something worse than snow or hunger creeps under your hooves. Ice. Not the thin, melting kind you slip on for a moment and recover. No, this is the sneaky, rotten ice. Ice that looks solid. Ice that whispers lies. It begins at a half-frozen lake. You're drawn to the edge by instinct. Water. Maybe a submerged plant if you're lucky. Maybe just a drink that doesn't come from sucking snow. You stretch your neck. Tap the edge. It holds. So you step, and that's your first mistake. Because you're heavy now, over 700 pounds of lanky, undernourished teenager. That's more than enough to make the ice groan under your weight. It creaks like old floorboards, just beneath your hooves. You take another step, then two, then crack. The sound is like a gunshot. You freeze, crack, then hoomp. The ice gives way. You plunge. There's no elegant flailing, just an immediate drop. Like the lake swallowed your legs whole, you fall chest deep into black water. Ice slabs slicing past your flanks, hooves kicking uselessly against a surface that's now above you. Your breath explodes out of you in a sharp, helpless grunt. Your body screams. Cold, unlike anything you've known, surges through your limbs. It is not the bite of snow or the sting of wind. This is a full-body assault. Like every nerve is being flayed open by frozen teeth. Your joints seize. Your heartbeat goes erratic. Panic overrides instinct. You try to scramble out. One hoof finds purchase on the rim, then slips. You try again. Break more ice. Your antlers slam against the edge. You bleat once, but no one hears. One theory posits that moose rarely survive these kinds of falls unless the lake is shallow enough to stand in, or unless help arrives quickly, and you are not in a shallow place, and there is no help. You try again. This time your front legs hook the rim. You push, you kick, you scream inside your head, and then miraculously, you heave your way out, collapsing like a soaked rug onto the slush-covered ice, limbs splayed, chest heaving. You lie there for minutes, maybe hours. Everything hurts, but you're alive, and you've learned a new rule of the woods: never trust the ice. When you finally stand, your legs shake so violently they nearly collapse again. You move like a ghost now, slow and unsteady. Your soaked fur freezes instantly in the wind. Ice clings to your flanks like armor, dragging with every step. You walk because it's the only thing left to do. That night you sleep beneath a fir tree. It shelters you from the worst of the cold, but your dreams are broken. You see the water again, hear the cracking, feel the slipping sensation in your bones. Even in sleep, you flinch, and while you lie there, another moose walks past in the distance. An older bull, thick-necked, scarred. His antlers are wide, full-grown, with jagged tips like ancient weapons. He doesn't even glance at you, but you watch him, because he's what survival looks like. He's what you're trying to become, and deep down, you wonder, will you ever get there, or will the forest claim you first? The cold is back, but this time it feels different. Not biting, not sharp, just final. Winter has entered its deep phase. No more dramatic storms or glittering snowfalls, just stillness, endless white. Trees that no longer creak, a sun that hangs low and does nothing but exist. And you've become a tired giant. Not old, just worn. Every part of your body feels like it has aged twice as fast as it should. Your joints ache, your shoulders sag. The muscles that carried you through your calfhood now burn with every step. Not because you're failing, but because you've been doing this for too long. You wake slowly, blinking frost from your lashes. Your breath fogs thick and low. You exhale again, not because you need to, but because it helps you feel something. It's a strange thing to say about a moose, but you're lonely. You haven't seen another of your kind in days. Your mother left moons ago. Other bulls keep their distance. And the forest doesn't care about your feelings. It offers no comfort, no conversation, just survival. This is the part of moose life most people never picture: the solitude. Despite being massive creatures with wide home ranges, moose are not social animals. There are no herds, no packs, no winter clubs where bulls sip sap and talk about antler growth. You're on your own, and with that isolation comes danger. Wolves, they're still out there. They've been following. Not every day, not every step, but just enough. You catch glimpses of their tracks, just a few hours old, looping through your trail like stitches in a wound. They're testing you now. They know you're bigger. But are you weaker? One theory suggests that wolves are incredible long-game hunters, pacing moose for days, waiting for signs of slowing, a limp, a stumble, one missed breath. They don't need to chase you when they can wear you down. Today, they test you again. You're walking through a frozen swamp when the first howl breaks the air. Not close, not yet, but it's not a call of loneliness. It's a rallying cry. You stiffen, ears up, then you see them. Just two, dark, sleek, watching from the tree line. You grunt loudly, snorting steam, stomping the snow. They don't move. You charge forward, half charge, half threat. They scatter, only to reappear a few dozen yards away. They're measuring you, Tonight, you sleep with your back to a rock face, antlers facing outward, head down but eyes open. You drift in and out of sleep like a soldier in a trench, and every time the wind whistles, you flinch. In the morning, you rise slowly, legs sore, neck stiff. You don't look back, you just keep walking, because that's what moose do. No songs, no den, no ceremony, just the long quiet march through snow and silence. There's no victory in surviving the winter, just existence, and even that costs everything you have. The end doesn't come with a bang. It comes with a yawn, a long, heavy, bone-deep sigh of a season, finally turning its face. The snow softens, the sun lingers longer each day, the wind loses its edge. You don't trust it at first, this warmth. You've been tricked before, but gradually, undeniably, the forest is waking up again. Your body doesn't celebrate, it simply endures. Your antlers are beginning to loosen. You feel it every time you shake your head, a faint wobble, like something unfastened behind your eyes. They're heavy now, not with strength, with fatigue. Soon they'll drop, one at a time, leaving you with tender stubs and a slight sense of imbalance, and oddly, you'll miss them. You spent months growing those antlers, only for them to rot and fall. That's the moose way. Build what you cannot keep. Wear the crown just long enough to lose it again. One morning, while chewing on the first green shoots you've tasted in weeks, your left antler falls off mid-chew. It lands in the moss with a soft thump. You blink, stare at it like it's a tooth you weren't ready to lose. Then the headache begins. Losing antlers is messy. There's exposed bone, a tender spot that throbs with every heartbeat. You rub it against a pine trunk. Blood smears. Your ears twitch. You're not sure if this is pain or just change, but something's shifting. Not just the weather. You've made it. Through birth, wolves, bugs, ice, starvation, salt traps, drones, ditch water, lone nights, bad food, and worse sleep. You've crossed from calfhood into mooseness, not fully grown, not king of the forest, but no longer helpless. You know how to move, where to hide, what not to eat, who not to trust. There's a final stillness in your chest now, not resignation, not defeat, readiness. You walk to the edge of a meadow, one you haven't dared cross in months. The grass is peeking through the melting snow. The birds have returned. Somewhere nearby, water is running freely for the first time in weeks. You take a deep breath, and you step forward, because you're not just surviving anymore. You're becoming. You're a moose. And yeah, it still kind of sucks, but you're still here. And sometimes, that's more than enough. You settle beneath a pine tree, the bark pressing gently against your spine. The wind no longer cuts, it whispers. The snow beneath you doesn't bite your belly, it cushions you, melting just a little under your warmth. A subtle, quiet surrender from a winter that finally got tired of itself. You close your eyes, the forest exhales with you, not in relief, but in rhythm. You are part of it now, not a visitor, not a victim. You've carved your shape into this cold, hungry land, and left your hoofprints in places no one else will ever see. Your legs ache, but they still work. Your ribs show, but your breath is steady. The bugs are still out there, sure, so are the wolves, the trucks, the thinning ice, but so is the grass, the water, the distant muffled sound of another moose calling somewhere far away. Maybe a female, maybe a rival, maybe just another survivor humming their way through spring. And that's the secret no one tells you about moose life. It doesn't reward you. It doesn't owe you peace just because you endured. What it gives you is the chance to endure again. And somehow, that's beautiful. You shift your weight. The breeze rolls across your damp shoulders, like a blanket finally warmed by morning sun. A bird lands nearby, not afraid, not even curious, just existing, like you. Sleep comes easy now, not because you're safe, but because you're strong, and that little moose might just be enough. Good night.